In this video, we're going to talk about grammatically transitive verbs. Now, grammatically transitive verbs are a really interesting thing in Pashto. They are verbs that seem like they should be intransitive. They don't take an object, but they're actually transitive. So how is this possible? And what do they look like? Let's have a look. So there's a couple of really common ones are khandal, to laugh, and jaral, to cry. So let's look at khandal. So here we go. We've noticed it's a grammatically transitive verb. So one thing we notice is that the stems, there's a long a in the stems here, khan, and then khandal in the roots. That's a bit interesting. But things get really interesting when we look at the way that sentences are formed with it. We have a subject and we have an object. So it looks like a transitive construction, but this object is this unspoken third person masculine plural. So let's say if I laugh, I am laughing, zakhandam. So it's not too weird. It seems like it makes sense, right? I laugh, takhande, harakhandi, like that. But there's this object, apparently, it's an unspoken third person masculine plural. Now, we don't see this anywhere in the phrase structure, but there is a servant in there. So we really notice how this works when we go into the past tense. Let's check this out. Simple past. Ma'u khandal. So now, just like with any other transitive verb or a transitive phrase structure, the object is the king of the sentence. And this object, there's nothing in the sentence. Look at this. There's no king here, but there's an unspoken third person masculine plural object. So this verb, look at this, ma'u khandal, agrees as if there's this like secret hidden object. And we can think of it a bit like, laughing seems like it's an intransitive verb to us, but we could think of it like laughing, laughter, like there's some sort of output. The subject is outputting something, if that helps to think of it that way. But, whether it makes sense or not, we just have to accept the fact that there's an unspoken object, and the verb in the past tense is going to agree with that object, this unknown third person masculine plural thing. So if I say you laughed, ta'u khandal, or he laughed, hara'u khandal, or she laughed, hare'u khandal. So all of these are inflecting because we're following the verb phrase structure for a transitive past tense verb. It's not intransitive, it's transitive. We have no object, but it's transitive. So if we use a noun, then let's say if we say that the woman laughed, we don't say khaza u khandal, we say khazi u khandal, because this is following the phrase structure for the past tense transitive verb, so the subject is going to inflect. If it's women laughing, it's going to be khaza khandal with a double inflection. If we say people, the people laughed, khalqu khandal. So you could say tulu khalqu khandal, all the people laughed. And this may seem strange to us because look at this, we're inflecting a subject on something that feels like an intransitive phrase, but it's not an intransitive phrase. It's actually transitive. It's just that we don't have a spoken object. That's pretty weird, but that's the way it works. So, this is also used not just with, let's look at the other verb, the other example with jaral. It's the exact same thing. So the people cried, khalqu jaral. Or if I could say that people were crying, khalqu jaral, like that. Inflecting the subject and the verb agrees with the object, just like any other transitive past tense verb. But there's also some verbs that you could use as a regular transitive verb or as a grammatically transitive verb. Like if I see lidal, then I can say that the people saw you, right? Khalqu talid, let's say simple past, khalqu tawulidali, the people saw you. Or I could just say that the people they saw something, but we're not saying what it is, they saw. Then it's grammatically transitive, khalqu wulidal. So the people saw that, they saw something. You can put another phrase in there. Or another super common way of doing this is wael. So if we use the word wael, then and we can use it as grammatically transitive, where we have this unspoken object. So this is a transitive thing because we're saying something. So there's obviously a subject saying something, but we're just not saying what they're saying. So if I say that I said, ma'uel, I said, and then you'd say whatever you said. So ma'uel che Pashto sachtada. So I said Pashto is difficult. Ma'uel Pashto sachtada. So I said, and then comma, quotation marks, da 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 da, whatever it is, and then whatever you said. So this is used tons in, whether you're telling stories and things like that. So if I say, you said ta'uel, tatsowel, what did you say? Or harauel, harauel chi, whatever they say, or harauel, and then whatever he says. And so you can, shrink the servant like that, umewel, and there you have it. You've got it's like a transitive structure, but we don't have an object. And when the object is this unmentioned thing, it is always, always, always an unspoken third person masculine plural object. So the verb is going to be like that. It's going to agree with that kind of object. So those are grammatically transitive verbs. They do not have an object. They have an unspoken third person masculine plural object, and they follow the verb phrase structure just like any other transitive verbs.